large language models like, Chat GPT. We will be talking about, specifically about Microsoft Azure, AI. So Microsoft Azure AI last week, I mean, they launched Microsoft Copilot. So like, we will be talking about that. Plus, we will be showing you a lot of, different use cases. And then Hassan will be showing you some live, demos of generative AI, which are basically built on Microsoft Azure AI. And then I think finally we will have one game, quiz game. So like whatever you will learn from here, I mean, like, you will be able to answer it. And then if you answer the most points, then I mean, we will have the winner 1, 2, and 3. Okay, so then just for fun. Okay, so let's start. So I think just about us. So Royal Cyber has been in business for about 20 plus years with fair about 2000 plus employees now. We are in 10 different locations. We are ISO certified. We have been nominated as Chicago's best writers for the past 5 years now. So I think one question which I think every company is right now asking, that what is a task that I am already doing which can be done much better by generative, AI. So if you guys can think like, behind your head, right, that what I'm doing right now, which I think is something like Chat GPT can do much, 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 better. So every single company which we are meeting right now, they're all, basically asking the same question. So there are a lot of use cases. I just wanted to share with you a website. So if you go to this, Deloitte has done a really good job. I mean, like, they have basically put, I mean, if you go to their Deloitte generative AI site, what they have done is like, they have put down all of these different use cases. So if let's say that I'm like, you want financial services, right? So you just select financial services. It will like, basically tell you all of the different use cases inside financial services in there, which will be a good use, like, so out here you can see that generative, AI can help with this is okay. This is not financial, so I have to select financial services out here. So if I go to this particular, vertical, I can see all of the areas where generative AI can, help me. Right. So I think this is a very good site for you to just go and see that which is my low hanging fruits which I can work on. So going back to the thing. So I think, like I showed you, that I mean, generative AI is basically transforming all the different industries. Now, what are some of the challenges enterprises are facing using large language models? So the number one challenge is the data, right? So they want to use the large language model, but they don't want to use the data which is on large language model. They want to use it with their own company data, right? So that is the number one thing. Quality, right? So sometimes, like, when you ask LLM a question, it just gives you the wrong response. So that is, I mean, brand cannot give different brands like Sony or Panasonic. They cannot give wrong responses, right? Because they can really harm that brand. So that is the second. The third is security. They don't want their own knowledge to be given to the large language model like ChatGPT, right? So I mean, these are the three major challenges companies are facing. So how do you solve this? So, and LLMs are often wrong with, basically answers, but they are very, confident about it. So if I go to ChatGPT and I mean ask them that did Silicon Valley Bank collapse, it will respond me, Silicon Valley Bank has not collapsed. It is still, operating as a successful financial company. But you and me know that Silicon Valley Bank collapse, right? So because it is trained like before till 2022, so GPT 3.5, that's why it is done. Now, they are wrong. Now, if I just change the question a little bit, right? So if I change the question from why did SVB collapse? So now it completely changed its response. It is saying me SVB collapse due to combination of factor which is heavily in subprime mortgage. But you and I know that the reason for SVB bank collapse was not because of subprime mortgage. It was because of higher rates, right? So just by changing the question, it is so. How do we now? Brands cannot afford this, right? Because if you give them wrong data to your, customers, you can. So this is the number one reason. I mean, this is called hallucination. So how do you solve hallucination? So if I am a Fortune 500 company, if I want to use LLM, I mean, how do you solve the hallucination problem, right? Now, you might say that, okay, this is something, uh, 2023 thing. So maybe because the, LLM cannot answer this. But even if you go few years back and then ask a similar question, so it, I mean, also happens for past events. So if I ask how many Model 3 vehicles were produced by Tesla in Q1 2018, it is giving me that in 2018, the company produced 34,000 vehicles. And it, I mean, also tells me the data where it got it. Like, so it got this from the shareholder letter of Q1 2018. But if you go and look at it, it was not 34,000, it was 7,000 vehicles. So what could be the reason behind this? One reason could be that the model has not seen this data during the time of training. But that is not true because it is clearly saying that in 2018 shareholder letter got the data from. So that could not be the reason. The second reason could be that the model has seen some related information and it is mixing it up. So it is mixing different data in the shareholder, and then it is not able to compute the right number. So I think, how do you solve these problems so that uh, LLM can be used in Fortune 500? Okay. So you need to reduce hallucination, and you need to teach LLM new information. So this is the process, I mean, which we are doing right now. So we are asking a question that, I mean, question is changed to a prompt, and that prompt is then sent to a large language model, and then the large language model produces a response. So when I ask, did SVB collapse, the question is no. So we have to change this architecture, right? Uh, so there's a new thing which has come out, which is called RAG, which is called Retrieval Augmented Generation. So in this process, I mean, we take how we are currently doing, and we are adding another layer which is called retrieve. So in this framework, what we are saying is that instead of LLM answer it, you are saying that I will give you the data, okay, and you just basically answer based on the data which I provided. So this will then uh, you know this will take care of hallucination, and also the model do not have the most latest data. So because you are giving him the data, and you are saying that whatever responses you will do, just do it on the data which I am giving it to you. Okay. So so as soon as this RAG thing came out, everybody got, because now we have a solution, right? For basically hallucination. That's why I'm in the media you see Google and Microsoft and basically AWS. Everybody has come up with their own solution because they found a solution. Previously there was no solution. Now, so RAG is the solution. So what we are doing, that all of the company data. It could be either from SharePoint, it could be either from your, basically, SAP, Workday. All of that data goes to this vector database. And then when you ask a question, it basically gets the relevant files from this database. And then it sends that data to the LLM, and it tells the LLM to only use these files to generate any response. And that this data is coming from your company, so the response will be always right. Okay. Now there are a lot of different large language model, right? There is GPT 4.0, which came out last week. There is GPT 3.5. There is um, Meta has Llama 2, right? So there are a lot of different. How do you decide which is the right LLM for you? Right. So that is another question which all the different enterprises have. So if you see out here, if you take 10 million tokens a month, the cost for GPT-4 is about $2,000 a month. And then Llama 2 is free, so I think this 530 is the monthly hosting fee, right? So this gives you a high level idea of, and I think there is an, evaluation metrics which is called ROG. And I mean, it's, and then for Llama 2, these are the values. So I think based on the raw value and your use case, I mean, you can decide that which model will be the right model for you. Okay, but I think the price and the quality of the LLM for your particular use case will be the deciding factor that which LLM will be the right LLM for you. Okay. Now, we have done a lot of, LLM projects, and I think these are some of the problems which we have found out. So the first is how you create a production-ready vector database. So like we said that in RAG, instead of the LLM uses its knowledge, we are saying we have created this vector, database, and all the company files from SharePoint. Others will be saved in the vector database. So how do you create scalable production ready vector database? Second is iterating on and evaluating the bot to ensure it provides correct answers. Serving large open source foundation models, deploying the bot as an scalable API, and collecting feedback from stakeholders and monitoring the bot in production. So I think these are some of the challenges you will face once you move your ChatGPT software or sort of an application to production. So how do you solve this? So all the three major names like Microsoft, AWS, and Google, they came up with their own solutions, right, to handle all of this. So for the Microsoft one, if you have an app which is asked the question, it goes to vector database is called Azure Cognitive Search. Azure Cognitive Search has all of the data from your enterprise servers like SharePoint, SAP, and also things that goes to it basically gets the files which it needs for that particular question, sends it to the large language model, and then the response comes back. Okay. Similar thing AWS, which is launched also maybe about a month back, which is called AWS Bedrock. So they have also something similar. So their database is called. So if you ask a question, it goes to their gateway to Lambda. This is their vector, database, which is called the Amazon Open Search Vector DB, and this is their generative model, which is called Amazon Bedrock. And finally, you have GCP. This is called the GCP Garden. So there's similar thing. The user asks a question, it goes to their Vertex AI embedding pipeline. It gets the data, and then it basically replies back. So all of the three, companies have their own solution for that. But in this particular uh, session, we will be focusing on the Azure, right? So let's now move to Azure Copilots, right? So Copilot, as you know that, so I think there are a lot of Copilots which already is available. So there is Microsoft Copilot for Microsoft, Dynamics, and then also you can create. If you see on the right hand side is you can also create the custom Copilots. Okay. So why do you need custom Copilot? How do you make it? And what are the use cases? I mean, we will be talking more about the use cases, and I will be showing you some live sites, right, which is currently using it. And so I think you have to, I'm not sure how many people saw the Microsoft conference in June, where the Microsoft CEO said that the new UI. So right now the UI is that you have a website, right? You go log in, and then you try to find out whatever you want to do, right? Now the new UI, it will be just language. So you say something and it comes back. And I think that's what you will see now, that what's going on. So I'm going to show you that people are now trying to create these sort of where you just ask questions and you get ready to response. So eventually, I mean, what I think that in the next couple year or so, everybody will be moving to this new sort of customer interaction. So Copilot Studio helps you develop that sort of a UI. Okay. So in Copilot Studio, once you will log in, you will see that you can chat over knowledge with generative AI. So you can provide your company data in the UI. Now, for those things which you do not want to use the LLM, you can also create your custom topics. So let's say that you want to return something which you bought from your website, right? So you can say, I want to return my product. So it won't, that question will not go to the LLM. It will go to your custom, topics. So that's how they are basically differentiating it. It has plugins and, it has plugins for almost everything. It has, basically, SAP plugin, Oracle Fusion plugin. It has CRM plugins, Salesforce plugins. So you can get data from anywhere. So you're just asking questions, it will get the data. It will do it. You can then, publish your Copilot at any of these channels. So you can publish it in Microsoft, Teams. You can publish it on any other SaaS-based solution out there. So you can do this, talking to it. It has a monitoring, facility and information services. Okay, so let's go through the, examples. It will be more fun. So New York City just launched their first chatbot, ChatGPT. So now you don't have to go to the website. So if you want to open up a new business and you want a license, right? Previously, you had to go to the website and the website is so huge and you have to find the right place to see how. Now you can just ask a question. I will show you the live demo. So if I go out here, anybody has any question in mind they want to ask? Let's see if it works. So I think once you go to chat.newyorkcity.gov, it will show you this sort of a window. And then if you do continue, and then I can ask any of these questions. How do I avoid noise violation? Train capabilities. So I mean, if I'm I want to open up a new business shop and I want a license. How do I get a business license? License. So I mean, behind the scene, I mean, this is using Azure, AI. What I just showed you the whole framework. So, and I think eventually if you have a fine, like a traffic violation, you can just come out here that I got this fine, this is a number, and you just pay it by typing it. So, I mean, it is telling you that what license and things like that. And so I think if they are doing it, eventually all the different counties and states will be also doing it eventually. So that was one of the things.
Stop.
Yeah.
With the RAG concept, does it have to get that data every single time, or does it? Like once it's retrieved, is it there to be used next time, or you always have to be?
Yeah, that's a very good question. Yeah, so RAG also has a lot of different, kinds of RAGs, right? So RAG has like RAG type 1, type 2, type 3. So if you have a question where you are like asking question, answer, question, answer, right? So you want to remember inside your memory, right? What you asked before. So if you use that RAG, then yes, you don't have to go back to the vector deep. So there are different type of RAGs also. So if you are using that, that memory cache RAG, then yes, but I mean, that's a very good question.
One thing I want to add here, should consider an example of open book versus closed book test. When we go in exam, we have memorized everything. So that is our LST, that is our neural network. That used to happen before 2020. In 2020, with Meta, Dr. Lewis came up with this idea of RAG. So RAG is like an open book test. Like something is in your memory, but then we are also giving like an open book information. So with that, you have something in memory. So you don't need to kind of make your data more heavy. And you can give some out of course stuff as well to your. So if you have like one or two specific prompts, you can actually give it to that model. And then if you want to again train your data, you have to go back to your neural network. So that's like a balance, what we want to use. If you want to use like a memory test, there is your neural network. If you want to use like an open book test, then your RAGs will come in place. And they will be very, very specific prompts. Sense?
Right. So, but the LLM could be continuously learning, right?
Yes.
So that you're not always just a fixed point and adding every single request. Here's some more data to use, but the LLM, what it actually has, can grow and learn over time as well. Right?
Yes, that is also that. So I think there are like two things you can do. One thing is RAG, I think which you got it. Another thing is how you can also fine tune the large language model. But fine tune, you cannot do it every day, right? Because new data is coming every day. So the best approach is hybrid. Use fine tuning plus RAG. So you can have the best approach. Okay. GPT 3.5 can only do files, okay? PDF files, Word files, right? It cannot understand pictures and videos. With GPT 4.0 vision can. So now it can also understand images and videos. The video thing is awesome. So you can give him a video, it can analyze that there is a fire, and then it can call the security services. So it can do this all automatically out of the box. So if I give him this, and then I can ask him that the green circle is showing you a perfect screw head, and the remaining 4 picture shows the screw head that you are validating. Please rate each of the row, screw head, of whether they are defective or not. So something like this, which was not possible in GPT 3.5, now you can do it. So this opens up a lot of use cases now, right? I mean, you just think about it now. You have the power that you can do a lot of things. So it can figure it. Responded to me back that the number 1 and 2 has some problems. Okay, so you can do now defect detection. Okay, now Microsoft is doing similar conferences in all of these different cities. Okay, so somebody in Royal Cyber wants to sign up for one of this conference. What they can do is they can take a photo of this. They can go to a co-pilot. They can say that, okay, I'm planning to go to this conference. It will check that based on your Outlook calendar, which of these conferences can you go, right? If you are busy or not, and then it will also tell you that you need a visa for it or not. So if I go out here and if I play this, so it is basically asking me which dates work for me next year, and then what's next. Can you provide me more details about the event in Mumbai city, and plan a trip to the Mumbai event?
And then can you assist me in uploading my passport? So I copied my passport, uploaded it. Is my passport valid for this trip? It just says that your passport is valid, but you need a visa. And then it will call ServiceNow. It will create uh, uh, a ticket to get visa for this particular thing. So everything you can now do it to the Copilot, so instead of going to multiple tools in your company. Okay, so that is one of the other Copilot use case. Okay, I think I really like this, Instacart. So Instacart is releasing this new feature pretty soon. So a lot of us have menus, right? Written and I know it. So now you can use a GPT-4 Vision, and it will grab all of the things which you need for that menu, put it in the, basically this app, uh, and then whatever basically ingredients which you don't need, you can delete it. Rest of the ones which you have it, which you want, you can then just place that Shopify. So you can see it's a very seamless process, very easy. Instead of, if you don't have that, then you have to do everything manually, right? So it's very easy. Okay, this I also love it. So you are an expert in evaluating car damage from car accident for auto insurance reporting. Create a report for this accident showing in the video with two sections. So it basically took a video, and it basically, and the LLM knows, right, that where is the that in which part of the car is damaged. It will then create the report for me, basically automatically. So if I go back now, you can see the report. So all this is, so it got the license plate, the car make, car model, and it then tells me the rear right side of the blue Toyota has sustained significant damage characterized by deep scratches, and it also tells you the reason that how this might have happened. So all of this, is done automatically by the LLM. So previously, you had to go to some car shop, and then they have to do a whole report for you, but this can be done now. Okay, so I will now give it to Hassan, but before we do that, let's play that game, quiz game. Let's see how much generative AI you know. Okay, so everybody, if they can take out their mobile phone and they can scan this barcode, and then I have three Starbucks gift cards. So the three top winners will be. Okay, so if you can just scan this code using your barcode once it comes up. And just taking my. Yeah. So if you can just scan this, and then it will just start automatically. Let me know that everybody has joined in. Everybody's in? Ready? No, I'm not sure, but I think it normally, okay, somebody just, two people join in. Yeah, you have to scan it, and then it will automatically, so I think three people.
I agree.
Yeah. You might have to create
Payment is.
So I think there are some more people are doing it, because the chances of it's more than 60%.
if we have 3 minutes. Uh,
We have three case studies that we have actually built up, and client's name keeping anonymous, but they're pretty much the same as Mass has just shown with Copilot. The difference is only that we are using Azure AI with that. And that's like a full application, an end-to-end solution, not like one part of it. So I'll walk you through the steps, and then of course we'll show you a demo as well. If you have got your last step, what are like 1 or 2 3 4 5 steps? So number one is your accident happens. That's a stressful situation. Then you actually report that. Third stage is that a claim consultant will lodge claim and provide you some kind of coverage info. So we are using 3 or 4 key components. Number one is our Azure Vision. What Azure Vision would do is to take one document and kind of understand what are key images in that document, translate, and provide us a description of that. Then would come our Azure Document Intelligence. In Document Intelligence, we would label our key information. Suppose there is policy type, suppose there is a customer name and their previous history. All of that information is labeled. And on top of it, we would be using OpenAI. That is our LLM model. So once it's pre-processing work, and then comes the model, and then happens the magic. So let me walk you through this application overview. So what happens is that, for example, the name of that guy is Bob. I'm just keeping it easy because it's a simplest name, not to keep any offense. And thanks God we don't have any Bob here. So we are good. So number one step is that we will have our document uploaded. Then we have Azure Document Intelligence. It would label each entity in its own system. Then we will highlight what document type we have. So that's our step number one. Step number two is our key extractions. That what is that policy type that we are looking, how much will be amount of insurance money is there. And then we are using our Azure image. If there is a car, if there is an image from backside, from bumper, from forward, that would also define what went wrong. And then finally, there is image captioning. So that would actually highlight it. And finally, we will have summarization and resolution. Summary is what happened, and resolution, what we are going to do. The 2 steps. Number one, we are understanding our language. That's where we are using NLU, natural language understanding. And then we are using NLG, which is language generation. So we are again coming back to that track where we are having first retrieval round and second is generation round. And then just between them, there is augmentation. So I'm just kind of simplifying what Mass is already saying. And I'll just show you a demo as well. Okay, so we are seeing this ugly looking image, but a white car with a damaged front end. So that's helpful. Number one, it has detected. Second stage, I would say the same, Alex document. So that's the document that I'm now loading. It will take some time. And this one is showing that it's processing. And by the way, we are using Streamlit for our user. So number one is our insurance document. So it's liability insurance. Number two, our key details. So classical, full name, insurance type, date of birth, email, phone, everything. And that's about total amount, that's image attached, and there is a summary. So this document details this liability issue, and this is the price. So if you don't want to read like the whole report and want to go, you can completely go to summary and you can just go through that. Another quick example, if we are having fun, if not, I can stop. So I at least have a lot of fun. So Emily is there and car is actually hit from back. So car with a damaged bumper. So this information can very easily be seen. So either you just download your image over there and it can inform you if you would like to have like lodge a full complaint, that complaint will also be entertained. So it could be like 2 parts. So either way you want to go. Now, next step, as Mass has said, that the client wants us to do more. And to do more is to have a video. How would we do that? Another part is, for example, if you're standing at the position and you want to record a message, the speech, and you just want to follow that, what would happen to that stage? Because if somebody would come home and would have to launch like a full application, it would take long time, of course. And similarly, if you are frustrated, you might not actually choose the right word sometimes. That happens as well. So, of course, in speech, you are also allowed not to choose right words, but it would save your time. So main thing is that customer is frustrated and we don't want to waste their time. So in this, number one aspect is time saving. That's number one. For our HR, for our, IT department, it's much more easier to forward it to right department, so it won't flip back and forth. And final stage, the resolution would come much quicker than in normal insurance cases. Questions? Please.
Yeah, so could this be extended to look for or to assess what is related to the accident versus what could be unrelated? Maybe they had an accident the other day and they chose not to fix it. Mm-hmm. And now they got another one and they're submitting it all as, oh, this was due to this accident.
Yeah.
But it's unrelated and so it shouldn't be covered. Things like that.
Yes.
So could it help to assess whether, especially when they're looking for fraud, right?
Yes.
And that or outside the coverage of that they have.
Yeah.
Can it detect that?
Yeah. Absolutely. That's a very good question. The reason being, there is one step behind that, and that will be a machine learning problem where you will detect your fraud. So imagine there is a machine learning algorithm that will be working when, and I think Mass mentioned that GPT-4 has multi-model approach. So your first model is your machine learning model. On top of it, you are talking about a model like this for image, and finally you are using an LLM that will tell you. So LLM will tell you both things, whether there is a fraud or not, and what kind of an accident is that. So there will be like one problem behind. So I think definitely we can do that with ChatGPT, and also we can do that manually. In this case, we can definitely do first, we go to machine learning problem. So over here, we are also solving a machine learning problem, but that is giving only this category that what kind of claim that is. So we can also say that whether this is a fraud, we could have maybe 2 million documents and we label them fraud or not, and then just train our model based on that, and here you go. But that's a valid point. That happens a lot.
Yeah, it's what drives up all the insurance, right? Is all these, especially the repair companies inflating their prices, right? Yeah. Saying there's more damage or it took longer to do and so forth.
By the way, this client is also doing this, but that is like a different case study. Right now, they are just focusing more on using large language models and maybe generative AI cases where they have an image and all that. So they are also doing this fraud detection and all these things, and also checking the history of that customer. So customization of that customer. That is happening. Okay. Any other questions? Yes.
Can we solve one more problem for the underwriting team as well, to reduce the dependency on underwriting team and just keep being human in the loop on the very last stage while approving or rejecting the claim, yes, basically, and because we are solving it for end users, but can we also do it for underwriting team, because it will speed up the overall insurance processing time.
Absolutely, and that is what they are trying to do. So they are trying to reduce, on analytics team side, so that they are not just giving too much time to that. So they will not be completely out of a picture.
Yes, but
because there will be maybe they have more time to check other documents by this approach. If large language model would read all that document, maybe they would do that decision in 5 minutes instead of just wasting 1 hour only to read that comprehensively and then go forward. So you're absolutely right. That would, again, underwriting is something that they are doing, and that's definitely solvable. That's the intention of all these large language models. So time saving is number one, and ease of use is another in business. And then third one is, of course, our accuracy and our performance. So that is the third challenge. And that is happening a lot because models do hallucinate, as Mass has already mentioned. So we are still working on that part. That is underway. Right?
Since RAG is solving the problem of data authenticity, that you will not get any data outside the organization, but how are we solving the problem of
like basically data jumbling up, or maybe answers which was jumbling up and mixing two different things in one as one answer. How do we solve that problem? Even I have all the authentic data, but still there can be chances that okay, I'm mixing up two things.
Yes, it can definitely happen. And the idea is that if you have created different matrices, your pre-processing process is fine. You can take care of that. So there is a technique called word embedding. So word embedding will tell you the difference between kite and a plane. And this will actually store these two information into two boxes, to two different numbers, because machine will not know the words in the picture, that only knows like binary numbers. So that's how it actually solves it.
So I think, I mean, like, that is, one of the solutions. And another solution is to like do the LLM fine, tuning, fine tune. So if you're not getting the right, response back, like you do the fine tuning.
So that definitely could be one. So there are two ways: either you fix the data or you fix your model. So these are the two options, and that's where the balance is. So our ideal situation is that both model and pre-processing data would perform better, but we are not living in ideal world. Practically, there are always limitations on data. There are limitations with our model, so that happens. But we try to get to that gray area as much as possible, and the best outcome. And, but you are right that this happens a lot. This jumbling of two entities could happen. So, right? Should we move to next one? If right. So second case is this call center. In call center, what happens is that we have one company in America, and then call center company is in India, if I dare may I say. And those guys would, listen to call and then write their notes and then forward it to the group, whether there is a complaint, where there is something else, blah, blah, blah. And afterwards, the manager would see what to happen. So what are the problems? Number one, again, is time. There's so much time consumption. Number two, if one resource would leave, the manager would have to actually hire and train them all from the same frequently asked questions. And third, if there is a mistake, and if this is forwarded to a different department, to a wrong department, it would take again long time to again loop back. And maybe it's not the same person who first time heard the call. So we have like the same problem. So human errors are there, time consumption is there. And for this reason, this client, where I'm just using the name John Doe, you might know this guy if you have ever filled a CV. So he's a very famous guy in that word. So I'm using his name. So now he's a manager, and he has these headaches and all these things because of these three problems I just mentioned. So here come our heroes. So Azure Speech, it's a very smart way of transcribing this whole information into words. But there are so many transcribers, but so much fun. Then comes Azure Language on top of it. So it could actually understand the pattern in that text data. And if there is some mistakes or some errors in transcriptions, so there could be a noise and there could be different accents. So those things could happen, takes care of all of those aspects. So English is not even my first language, it's my second language. I have an accent, if you might have noticed. If not, thank you. but I guess that's there. So all these accents, all these things are taken care. And then it goes to model. So now we are actually facing a very difficult problem that if there is an accent problem, model might not understand it correctly. So with Asian, difference between L and R would be one thing that happens a lot. And if that information would go to model would actually understand a very different information. So taking all these informations into it, it won't be a model issue. It would be a pre-processing issue, right? So solving that problem, again, number one, our post-call audio, our transcribed, that is our Azure speaker, will take care of that. Next step, it will analyze in one step by Azure language, and second, our model at the same time at this level. Third one, it would do sentiment analysis and intent classification. Again, NLU. Is it a positive sentiment call or is it a negative? Negative means there's a lot of rudeness, aggression. We all have been there, done that kind of a situation. So yeah. Second one is intent. What is the purpose of that call? What is the reason of that call? Once our model would understand, it would actually create a summarization, a generation again, and it would give a resolution. And a human would check that resolution. And finally, we would create an assistant. So for example, what if you have read some resolution and you still have some questions unanswered and you want to prompt your bot to answer you something specific? Then you can ask those questions. So if there is a policy number, but then you don't know what to do with that number, you can ask those questions. And again, I'll give you a very quick, short demo so that you can get the picture, right? So again, bear with me. I'll switch my screen. So let me minimize this. Right, screen is there. And I'm going to a different file. Let's talk about loans because we have just taken a look at insurance. So for a difference, loan, and it is already loaded. So I am analyzing the call. And if audio would work.
Good afternoon. Thank you for calling Consulta. How can I help?
Hi there, my name's Mary. I'm currently living in Los Angeles, but I'm planning to move to Las Vegas. I would like to apply for a loan.
Okay, I see you're currently living in California. Let me make sure I understand you correctly. You'd like to apply for a loan, even though you'll be moving soon. Is that right?
It's lovely conversation, I can assure you, but we don't have time. And plus, we have a solution. So why to just waste time? Let's see what is it. So first, transcription. So what agent is speaking, what customer is speaking, we know. What are their sentiments? At what statement their sentiments are neutral, when they are positive, when they are negative. About call summary. So number one, you might catch it. It's a loan application. They talked in start, not a problem. Second, their overall sentiments are positive. So that's a good sign. And then there is issue summary. So wants to apply for a loan, this is this. And then there is resolution summary. So agent confirms I need to sell current loans and this, whole information. But what if there is something which is missing? And that's the third part. There is our bot. And so for example, I just ask a very normal question. What is intention of this call? Intention of this call is to call about member. Okay, so that's good. But you haven't heard full. I have heard it like 10 times. So I know there is a point that she's asking for a loan, but she has actually asked for 2 loans. So she already has like 2 loans and she's asking for a 3rd loan. So now I want to know how is it possible that she's asking for a 3rd loan, how she would accommodate it. And please appreciate that this is a how question. This is not what and why. The answer is not straightforward. Machine has to infer and then generate some answer. So it might not be given in this conversation. I'm asking about how question. So how question is how customer will manage another loan if she had already 2.
So this question is asked to this.
Yeah. So this. Yeah. So my concern is that this was not discussed in the call. So can we also ask something if our model is smart enough that could understand that if there are already 2 models, how would actually customer will manage? And our model has actually smart enough to find out and figure out that customer manage another loan by discussing their option with one of our loan officers. So it is also suggesting something that was not even discussed in the call. So that is kind of inferencing this instruction. And then I can ask a very simple question, which is my favorite. There is no evidence. So that's also a good sign. So we have checked already that there was a positive sentiment or negative, but still we can ask these kind of queries. So any questions about this one?
Yeah, so I guess is the eventual goal for this to be more available real time? Because you could have the listening in real time and saying, hey, I think the caller's asking this, or hey, you should ask the caller this, so that it's, because it's all analytics, right? But eventually wondering, can you get it to the point where it's real time listening and it's just there as
That's a good, yeah.
buddy just going, prompting you going, hey, ask them about this, or how come, I don't think they're being truthful here or something, just to help with the overall call.
Yeah, so that's a very good question and valid, because that's like the final goal of creating an intelligence of a model. What we have right now, our bots, they have frequently asked questions, which happens most of the times, to also be kind of a secure. But what you are suggesting is like a next level kind of a real-time scenario where customer is actually coming. What it would require is a lot of testing and multiple prompts. Because one thing Mass discussed about hallucination, that you are not telling what you know, but opposite is that sometimes your model knows too much. That's dangerous. Why? What if your model has learned some misogynic terms? So what example I give is always that we have that man is for king and woman is for queen. Perfectly fine, right? But when you talk about that man is for doctor and woman is for nurse, now that's not nice. And similarly, man is for pilot and woman is for air hostess. So where this biasness, gender biasness is coming from our data. It's not that our model is a bad person. It has learned those patterns. And similarly, models do learn a lot of racist stuff from internet. That could happen. So if we have it in a real time and our model has actually done something, the user won't understand that model is not racist. They would think that company is racist. So there is this danger. So before going to real time, there will be like multiple testing whether we have got this model who would not only understand what those racist terms are, but also not to say it like a child. We all know some racist slurs, but we are sane enough not to speak out loud, because then we are representing the company.
Well, even the language thing, if the person on the call isn't understanding because there is an accent, but the assistant can help it, I think they're saying this.
Yeah.
That's helpful, right?
Yeah, that's very helpful. That's very helpful. Absolutely. Yeah. So that's definitely a very valid one, and that's obviously very helpful. But then I'm also saying that there are some loopholes in this process for which companies are actually not going on. So with our current client, we have actually suggested them, why don't you try that? But then, there are these cases, they have some apprehensions, and rightly so. So maybe we are just, the way technology is going, I don't want to predict. Maybe if I'm saying 1 year, and after 3 months, you will come back and say, Hassan, you don't look nothing. In 3 months, something happened. So I just don't want to even say. And then you never know that in 67, we thought that in 2001, we all will be like in flying cars. And we know that even, we are nowhere near to that. So these things happen. So what is reality versus what is fiction? I don't know. But a safe way is that we are on that path where we are actually creating more sophisticated and smart and intelligent devices, which will be what we do.
So what about something hopefully a little closer? You asked the question, how can the customer manage another loan if she already had two? That requires whoever is reading this to actually have read and put some time into it to understand what's going on. Yeah. Can it already, based on the conversation, indicate what did this person not ask, or what is the logical next step, so that the person doesn't have to read so much? Because that question, you actually had to understand what's going on.
Yeah.
Right. So you actually had to read or listen or do quite a bit to get to the point to ask that. And so can the AI already come up with it itself, saying, hey, there's a risk here that they may not be able to handle a third loan, and so that should be pursued.
Yeah, and again, it will go back again to a machine learning problem. That first maybe we create a predictive model, and on top of it, we can create this one. Or another way is that if our summarization is much better, that in a summarization it's more holistic, that we can catch up those keywords, and then we, instead of reading like the whole transcript, we just go to that certain point and ask these questions. But why I give this example is because this was not in that communication. They didn't even discuss about these two loans versus these things. So model is inferring something that was not even discussed during the call. So that is the beauty of machine learning. So you can tell what and why, but can you tell how?
There's another question from Fahad, which is the sentiment analysis done on how the conversation is going on, or by analyzing transcript?
So how the call happened we exactly transcribe that. And since model is not reading about the speech, it's reading that text. So based on that text, it has actually analyzed what was overall sentiment of the call. That's it.
So not if they raise their voice.
Yeah, because that will be like another thing that if their voice is high or not. So it's reading actually from this point. So I know what is the essence of this this communication, that we humans have sometimes a sarcastic comment which could be in a very different tone. But when you read that on paper, so it could like, I have even done that. Like, how wonderful when I'm so much upset, but then you have to like. So I have lived sometimes in Netherlands, so got this.
Maybe there's a possibility we can, somebody being sarcastic can be quoted there.
Yeah.
Like LLM is reading that.
Yes, there are. There are some cases where they are actually detecting this sarcasm.
Yes, I can.
And it's not only the cases are so sophisticated that not only sarcasm, but the degree of sarcasm, because that's much more interested. It's not like black and white. There could also be somewhere that you are, being this
so
much.
many ways to say things.
Yes. It depends how nasty you are as a.
Exactly.
So sometimes you are very blunt in your sarcasm. But sometimes you are like very passive in that. So passive aggressive is, for example, one term that we are working on that part. But again, that will be like a complete different problem. So our assumption over here is to read it from the text. But I think the question is valid, that how do we know about this? So definitely that is something that we are working on. And the idea of these conversations, wherever I am going, we have actually end up with more questions than our solutions. And we are lucky to have living in this time that we all are giving our feedbacks towards more and more problems. And I'm okay with that as far as it's positive. Right? Any other comments, questions?
Thank you so much.
I stop my screen.
Thank you so much for coming on. Appreciate it.
Or with you.
Yes.
Can I ask an overall question?
Yeah, please. Yeah.
So today we heard about Azure AI, but the different competing companies are all spending a lot of money on improvements, and so as they leapfrog each other, how easy is it to change to a different, to change from Microsoft to Google or to change to a different one, because there are such jumps happening.
Absolutely.
And you may be on the best today, but someone else just announced something tomorrow and you want to take advantage of that. How locked in are you to kind of just one way of doing things versus being able to switch?
That's a very good question. Thanks, Chan.
Yeah. So one thing is that what are you exactly talking about? If you're looking at only model, maybe you can call about different deltas, like a change. So one delta is that you are using GCP Model Garden, right? You are working with Azure AI. You might be working with OpenAI or maybe Lambda Falcon. So 5 models. So if you are working on models, no problem. You can play around, you can switch models. In machine learning world, that's not a problem. I consider that we always work with decision trees, random forest, 6GB moves models. We change those models to see which is the best result. The challenge would come if your whole infrastructure, your model is orchestrated in Azure or in Microsoft, and now you want to move to Google. Your whole data setup is moving there. Your whole deployment jobs are moving there. Now you have a bigger problem, and even your governance part, your best practices, those are related to certain cloud. In that sense, you are in much bigger trouble, because then you need a very good architect who would actually understand that if you are migrating from one cloud provider to another, you need to understand really what you want to do. But if you're only changing the models, interplaying with the models, no problem. And these models are also providing these options that you can play around with it. So it's not that OpenAI is open source. You can also accommodate that with Azure. And I think GCP and AWS would also go into that part. So Cloudera has, I think, this, but you can use Cloudera, for example, in Azure and in other places. So they have third-party models, which you can use in certain framework. So right now we are seeing a lot of competition. Once the market would reach to a point, we would see more cooperation and then more collaboration. So I see that that's going to happen in next few years.
Because in that case, you mean to say that switching cost is more?
Yeah, switching cost is more, and also switching infrastructure might actually cost you maybe more time and customer dissatisfaction. You never know. Because this is not like you're changing only your model. You are changing your database, you are changing your data lake, you are changing, your maybe if you're using Kubernetes or if you're using LangChain for orchestration. So more, if you are completely on open source, like LangChain is a good example, then no problem. But if you are using some cloud provider, there will be some risks and organization will take it. And that's why you see in real scenarios, those who are on Microsoft, they want just like a flip of thing, change to AWS. That's the reason, because whole of their system is on certain cloud, and it's not very easy. For us, it might look like that's very easy. Just why don't you just go for one project? Nobody would switch to.
But is there a way to more future-proof that architecture?
Yeah. As I'm saying, there will be more competition. There will be more collaboration coming on. And right now, I think the best case is to use open source and combination to third-party models. If you look at GCP, they have so much proprietary models, which you can only use with GCP. They have third-party models, and then they have, of course, open source models. So Lambda, Falcon, they both are open source model, and third-party one is Azure OpenAI, and I believe Palm. So these are Palm 2 models are you can use for this kind of with other clouds as well. But if you're using only like proprietary models, then you cannot use that, unfortunately.
That's no combination between proprietary, third party, and open.
You might remember there was what was that metrics problem, MATLAB. That's why MATLAB actually left behind, because they were really proprietary and they didn't collaborate. And that's where Python actually took the lead, because they were open source and they were very easy to be integrated with other solutions. So nobody talks about, even academia, about MATLAB as much as they talk about Python. Reasonably simple. But again, they are not in loss. That's a game you are playing. They know their game. I'm not even commenting about their business model. That's how they right. But just to original question, it is possible, and in near future, I can predict that. You can quote me that this is going to happen, because we have seen this happening with other products, with DevOps, with mobile development. So why not data science? This is going to happen.